time. That'll be running again concurrent with the Forest Lake School District's spring break, so that's from March 9th to March 13th this year.
Awesome. Any questions from council?
No, can't wait.
No, that'll be fun. Awesome. Thank you. We'll move on to number 13, the Q 2025 ALPR update. Chief Power?
Yes, Mayor Everson, members of council. As we look at the end of 2025, you'll remember that we did initiate a pilot study for a one-year trial on the flock safety camera system, ALPR camera system. And I wanted to just provide an update on kind of how it's being used and any other questions that you might have. Considering we continue to work on the data sharing agreements, this is a kind of a work in progress. Those agencies that we're sharing data with, we want to make sure we have that agreement and authorization signed with them. It's a kind of a clunky process. We have to manually send them this document, they sign it, return it to us, then they sign theirs, send it to us, and it's kind of a clunky process. Flock is working on updating that so it is embedded within the system rather than having this manual paper process that we need to do. But essentially it just ensures that our data is being used in compliance with our policies. And we haven't had any issues with that. It's just a cumbersome process getting everyone signed. So we did send out a notice to all of the agencies that if it's not signed by the end of February, we wouldn't continue to share our data. That was an additional step that we added after initial implementation. So there's a little bit of a back and forth on making sure that gets done. So we anticipate that we'll have that for first quarter of 2026. It continues to be used by our patrol officers primarily, looking at driver's license status checks for revoked drivers, suspended drivers, any kind of warrants that they may have, and also for any identification of any stolen vehicles, cops alerts, anything like that, and continues to be used during proactive enforcement. We did use it on a harassment stalking investigation. Ultimately, it was used for a stalking case over at the hospital. It was submitted for charging, but ultimately there's other dynamics at play that it wasn't charged, but it still was a case that was definitely we would not have been able to identify the suspect without having the system in place. So it was a success with the system. Flock continues to provide webinars and training, and we continue to work with other agencies to make sure that we are in compliance with state law and retaining data as needed. Our public safety manager, Callie, just attended a training last week. I just got the slides today, so I'll be looking through them as well, just to make sure where we're at, making sure that we're compliant with everything that we should be doing as well. And that information was shared with our city attorney as well just today. So no time to look at that yet, but just to keep you updated that we continue to make sure that we're staying in compliance. The additional document that was attached to the letter was just a brief summary of how it's being used. There's a good usage of it. The system is operating as intended. And then I just wanted to let you know there has not been any data requests by any federal agencies. I know there's some discussion about that or concerns about that nationally or locally, but we have not had any data requests or any access to our data at this point. So any other questions you may have?
I have one simple question.
Sure.
Of course, online there's always questions about the license plate reader and the black license plate. So
Right.
the theory is going that actually the black license plate is the one that captures the best images, and so the state is trying to make it so every license plate is the black one. Is that true to that statement?
Not that I've heard.
It's
The black plates look nice on cars.
Yeah.
Is kind of the understanding.
yeah,
So.
and some of that money goes to the veterans or whatever, right?
Yeah, there's it's a long list of different
Yeah.
plates that are available. And actually, anytime a new plate does come out, the ALPR system does need to be calibrated to make sure it's reading correctly. Those black and white ones, they came out and it did not read it properly.
Yeah.
So it needs to learn what those plates look like and go from there.
Good to know. Thank you. Questions from council. We'll start with Member Yeager.
All right, so your memo says several local and county agencies have requested access to the data. Who are they?
I can provide that list. I don't have that readily available.
Unfortunate. Your
I-
memo also says.
By the end of the meeting, I can provide it to you if you'd like.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Your memo also says that in your training and compliance, they're focused on system evolution. What is system evolution?
As it adapts, like I just mentioned, that as the system needs to learn new technology, as laws change, that it evolves to make sure that we're compliant with that.
What kind of new technology?
As of right now,
Besides black license plates?
I don't know anything off the top of my head, and like I said, we just attended this training last week, and I have to review it with Kelly.
Okay, thank you.
I'd just like to remind council and everybody in this room, we're all a team. And when there's side comments, it actually doesn't promote teamwork. So I just think that that's super important. We watch some of our verbiage.
And Mayor Iverson,
After
if I can
comments.
follow up, we do have a transparency hub that is available 24/7 if you'd like to look at that, and that does have all that information you're looking for.
Where is that?
That was in previous updates to council as well, that there is an online transparency hub with our ALPR system. That was released earlier.
I was just hoping you would know.
Well, I think it can be sometimes hard for our staff to know everything right on demand. So I appreciate it, Chief Bauer. Questions from Member Schilling?
I actually do not have any questions. Thank you for the update. Appreciate it.
Okay, Member Onstad?
I have no questions.
Member Luker?
Just to clarify, and I know there was a story that came out about recently about, I think, somewhere in California, Los Altos or Santa Cruz or somewhere, about information being accessed by federal agencies without warrants or without data requests or anything like that. And just to clarify, I know that you have put a lot of work into making sure that we have a solid policy that is very, very clear about who can access our information and who we provide it to. And so that would
Correct.
never be a concern here.
Across the board, I'd have to look at this specific article that you're citing. Across the board, everything that Flock is saying continues to be that the data is ours. Any request that they receive by any other government agency, whether it's a search warrant, any legal process, the only way it would be released without us knowing is hypothetically if they believe that for some reason our data or we are misusing it and there's a federal investigation into our use or some other kind of criminal or investigation that we would not be privy to that information. That's fine, it's a chainsaw or something. It's totally fine. So they continue to maintain that that is not happening. We would always be notified it's our data to release and they're not releasing it. The only way is if they would receive a court order that we would not be allowed to because of an ongoing investigation. And I mean, that's very unlikely, very specific. And they've continued to maintain that, and we get updates on a regular basis from Flock with that information.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Thanks for the transparency. We'll move on to number 13, number 14, monthly performance measures fire Q4 2025. Chief Bauer, that would be you?
Sorry. Yes, that would be me. 1 minute. Let me just switch documents here. And undo my brain from Flock. 1 second here. Okay. As you're aware, we are maintaining information about our fire department having these performance measures in place. Finishing up Q4 gives us a good perspective on kind of where we're at with the certain areas. I will say, as we've completed 1 year with this document or this process, understanding that we may modify, or that we will modify how we're calculating some of this information, and I will make sure that's transparent as well in the reporting process. Some of the averages and how it's calculated as time has gone on, I think the information can be better relayed in a different way, but I will make sure when we're doing year-to-year comparison that we explain why the numbers might be different. And again, no, not trying to hide anything or confuse anything, just as time has gone on, it's like, this can be described a little bit better and more accurately in a different way. So call volume 326 for the year. That's one of the highest years we've had in quite a while. Response time, again, this is a calculation that is limited by our dispatch system. They only log the first arriving vehicle on scene from the fire department, so that usually is a chief vehicle or one of the command vehicles. So on a structure fire or an active fire, that really isn't what we want to be calculating. We want to be calculating or determining the first arriving engine on scene. And our system does not allow us to do that other than a manual process. So hopefully down the road we could change how that's done. Responder goals, we're still looking at lower numbers. Considering the benchmark is 10 for a structure fire or any kind of fire, that's difficult to maintain those level of response numbers. We're only about 25 for the year, 25% for the year. Medical, we're still doing really well with always 99% of the time having 2 responders or more respond to those incidents. Motor vehicle crashes, we're at about 41%. We're looking for 8. That is very unlikely that we're going to arrive at that number. You think of that puts 2 engines in service. On the freeway, we probably get better numbers just because we have additional resources out there. Alarms, looking for 4, about 78%. Only had a couple traffic control calls. It might be just 1 in December. So in general, those are numbers we're going to still, as our staffing numbers improve, hopefully we'll be able to meet more of those. Incident commanders, across the board, we're doing really well with having an incident commander. That's a captain or deputy chief on scene. To have them be in command. Medicals was 82%, and that's perfectly acceptable on a medical. We're giving out more mutual aid than we're receiving. 12 structure fires we assisted with throughout the year. We received 5 mutual aid, 6 throughout the year, by other agencies. Regarding public education, it's very sporadic throughout those initial couple months of the year. But December, we do have a number of events and a strong reach. A lot of times these fire events have many more than 20 people attend. You think of, the Santa event in December, public education at the schools, those are reaching a lot more than 20 people. So it might not be we're doing a ton of them, but the reach is pretty significant. We had 11 fires with loss. That's not something that we can necessarily control, but just something to keep track of. Our firefighter applications, we had some decent numbers, and we have a large pool that are starting and getting onboarded this right now. EMS, we only had 2 that actually started. 1 has resigned, and the other one has actually changed to being a firefighter and EMS, which is a good result. So, overall, we're happy with that. And obviously, firefighter is the goal because they can also do both. But if it is an EMS only, we will still entertain those applications. Our numbers have steadily dropped throughout the year with active firefighters, but as I mentioned, starting at the beginning of 26, we will have those numbers will go up for active firefighters. The big one in equipment age, we're looking at that ladder truck. We'll be having more discussions about that at a future work session coming near you. What that looks like for that ladder truck. That is 25, was a 2000, and we're at approaching 26 years on that, so we'll need to take a look at what we're going to do with that vehicle. And again, 0 inspections this year, but with the part-time posting, that we'll get out in the next couple weeks, if not tomorrow, I believe. Yeah, I think so. We should be able to start getting those inspections done soon. So, any other questions on this?
Okay, council, any questions? We'll start with Member Schilling?
I don't have any questions, thank you.
Member Yeager?
People have asked me, are there any times when there's too many people on a medical call? Like, for example, you have a fire command vehicle, 2 police vehicles, a fire rescue vehicle, and a ambulance, all at the same address. Does everybody have a role, or are people standing around? Because occasionally I will get a question about, do you need so many people and why on a medicals?
It is call dependent. It depends
Okay.
on the situation. We're only calling out fire when it's needed. They're not automatically dispatched. Police is first priority to first respond, and then the ambulance. Fire would only respond as needed, so that might be a lift assist where we need additional personnel. It may be that there's CPR that needs to take place, and that is rotating people through. It's really dependent on the need. Now, because we're paid on call, a call for first responders, it might be 1 responds, it might be 2, or there might be 8 sitting having dinner at home, and they all respond. So because of the paid on call system, and because they're not part-time employees and they're not specifically obligated to respond, it depends. We might get 8 on scene. Ultimately, when they arrive on scene, and we don't need them, hopefully they're canceled, but that requires somebody to kind of take note of the situation and then cancel resources. So
Okay.
that's the system.
I was just curious, and I say it's a question I've been asked.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Okay. Member Luker?
No questions.
Member Onstead?
Just to add to that, because I'm in the same field, is it better to have more people show up and send them home than not enough?
Yeah, what we're looking at is if we need additional resources, it'd be 3rd and 4th tier then looks at mutual aid agencies, and that could be 15 minutes away. So we'd rather have them en route and on scene, and cancel them or send them home. Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions?
No.
No. All right. Thank you for the update. Really appreciate it. We're going to go on to new business. Number 15, to consider authorizing the purchase of park amenity master list signage for EFA signage. Mr. McFarland, is that you?
That is me. Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council, the Park Advisory Commission has had a long-standing goal to try to find ways to advertise the numerous parks, all 18 of them in our community, and the different amenities that are offered at each of those parks. With that in mind, they spent the past several months coming up with ways to promote those amenities, and so they've created a park amenity master list, a park amenity master list webpage, which is on the city website. Now they've spent a lot of time looking at signage to promote those different amenities and that webpage for people to access. It's with that in mind that the Park Advisory Commission believes that these signs being out there will encourage individuals to scan that QR code and learn that there might be a pavilion at one park or a baseball field that they didn't know was at another one. So they have selected a final design for that sign, which is at the bottom of this report. The sign would be 12 inches by 18 inches and utilizes a 3M high-intensity prismatic reflective sheeting. And the Park Advisory Commission is recommending that the City Council authorize the purchase of 25 total signs for the project, which will be installed across 14 parks in the community. The total cost of that project is $537.50. That's their best quote right now, though no more with shipping. That is shipping included, but they need to weigh it first, but very close to that.
I think that's a wonderful idea. So we have 17 beautiful parks, and it's nice to be able to really draw some attention to it. So good job to the Park Advisory Board. All right, questions. We'll start with Member Luker.
I have no questions. I just tried the QR code and everything looks great. So good job.
Member Onstad.
Well, this plays into something I've been promoting for a long time, is the use of QR codes at our parks. I'm really glad to see this is actually taking place.
Yeah, all those kids are going to love it, right?
Yep, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Member Schilling.
I think it's great, I just always have a fear with these, so.
No.
Somebody puts their own QR code over it on our signs.
Don't tell them to do
People do it all the
Give
time.
them that suggestion.
But I think they're great. The whole idea is fantastic.
So then, would the follow-up question be, Mr. McFarland, what do we have in place to make sure that we know
That's-
right away if something does happen with what he's talking about?
Yeah, I don't know if we have anything that we've discussed, but I do know that our Public Works Department does do park inspections regularly, and so this could be
Alright.
something that we add into the rotation to say,
Sorry
please
to
scan the sign
say
when you're
that,
out there.
but I just,
Yeah,
people's identities and it just worries me.
okay.
Otherwise, it's awesome.
But we have a good answer.
Yes, I like the answer.
Perfect. All right, Member Yeager.
Which fund are you taking the money out of?
That would be out of their, apologies, the Park Improvement Fund.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we need a motion to approve the authorization of park amenity master list signage from EFA Signage Company in the amount of $537.50. Do we have a motion?
Motion?
Motion by Member Onstad. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Member Schilling. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So approved. Number 16, to consider Resolution 260226, a resolution authorizing the purchase of the chassis of a 2027 Western Star from Trans West on a state bid contract and equipment and outfitting from Town Master in the amount of $328,938. I will not be repeating this whole thing, so, all right, Mr. Reeves.
Honorable Mayor and Council, asset number 916, which is a 2011 Freightliner, is up for 15-year replacement. And so we were able to gather state contract numbers from Transwest to replace the truck with a single axle 2027 Western Star. And then included in that, the upfitting from Towmaster. So we're looking at a potential, should this be a successful request, we're looking at a November delivery date for the chassis, and then it'll go up to Litchfield and wait in line. We're anticipating June or July of 27 delivery with all the snow and ice control equipment, dump body, and emergency lighting and everything. So I was happy that we were able to capture some opportunity before the Tollmaster contract goes back out to state contract, and then also be able to get ahead of some tariff charges. So being able to capitalize on that is helpful, and also get in line up in Litchfield, so.
Okay, my only question, Mr. Reeves, is you mentioned June or July. That's, can be fluid.
Of 2027.
Oh,
Yeah,
2027,
I was gonna say
okay, because I was gonna
next,
say that can be fluid,
It
so I
can be.
don't wanna have that set, like,
Right.
oh, you said.
Right.
So it could be June, July of 2027, it could be March, it could be September. I mean,
Yes.
there's some, right?
Yeah, orders could get canceled, or there could be a shortage of supplies. You're exactly right.
Okay,
There are external factors out there, yes.
yeah, perfect, okay,
Yep.
thank you. Did I start with you last time? Who did I leave off with? We'll start with you. Member Onstad, we'll just start with you, because
I
I
have no
lost track.
questions.
Okay, Member Schilling,
No questions, we budgeted for it, so.
Member Yeager?
Is this the same truck that we talked about at the budget meetings where we were going to take $168,000 out of out of the sewer fund to pay for?
This is, yeah, there's an interfund loan in the amount of $175,000,
Okay.
correct?
So, when we do the resolution, do we need to have that mentioned in the resolution? Because this one says we're just taking it out of the CIP.
Part of the CIP, but this is just authorization to move forward with the purchase. We can, later on when we receive it, we can do another resolution identifying the transfer from a 5-year transfer out of the sewer CIP. But this is just authorization to move forward. As we stated, this could get canceled, this could get stopped, but later on when we actually take possession of it, we'll have to make payment on those invoices.
Well, that's okay. It's just that on the last whereas, it just says the CIP fund has $350,000 budgeted for the purchase of this new truck, and we're not, is it still budgeted that way, considering we're gonna do it as an interfund loan?
If council wanted to make a friendly amendment to that, you could do 175 CIP and a 175 interfund loan, if council wanted to do that. Be appropriate for the resolution now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you wanna move, all right,
Are we
so,
done?
you want me?
No, because we did not have Member Lugar ask any questions.
I have no questions,
Okay,
but I appreciate it.
yeah, all right, so, if I'm understanding correctly, Member Yeager, you're gonna make the motion with a change.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a
Okay.
motion to to move for approval with the change in the resolution, in the last whereas, that the money will come from 168,000 out of the sewer fund as an interfund loan. And what was the rest of it out of the CIP?
It would have been 175 and 175, half and half.
Oh, it's 175, it was like 168 was coming out of the budget meetings. So it's 175 out of the sewer fund and 175 out of the CIP.
Correct.
Okay, so we would revise the resolution to say that the funding for this will be 175,000 out of the sewer fund and as an interfund loan, and 175,000 out of the CIP as budgeted.
Okay, that's your first. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second by member Onstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So approved. Okay, number 17, to consider resolution 260227, a resolution declaring coverage in the public employees police and fire plan for a non-full-time firefighter. Chief Bauer?
Yes, Member Iverson, Mayor Iverson, and members of council, we'll get this done. As you know, we did request approval to post this position, and as we were posting, we learned that PARA requires council resolution in order to include a part-time employee in the police and fire pension fund. This was what we had originally proposed when we got the position approved by council, but they're just looking for a resolution officially allowing the city to contribute and have this position, because it generally is for full-time, but they are allowing part-time if council approves it. So, as you know, our fire department is a member, our paid on call has a fire relief association. There are limited within statute who can participate in that. And those the relief association has minimum call requirements and those type of things in place. Part-time employee, because they're scheduled times, we can't put minimum call response on them, those same requirements either. So this would be allowing them to participate in this, in the PARA Police and Fire Fund, which has obviously a part-time employee. It's not as significant of a contribution, and that you're not going to retire based on this. But potentially, if they have a previous pension they're contributing to with fire and police, this may contribute to that. So it's a way for us to reward and have them be a part of a pension fund.
Okay, member Schilling, questions?
You kind of answered some of it, but I was wondering, with a lot of positions, there's a hours trigger.
Mm-hmm.
So with these, is there an hours trigger for it, or is it
There is
just
not.
the very minimum? Okay.
So they'll be scheduled
Yep.
a set number of hours.
Yep.
They are not obligated to, and they cannot respond outside of their scheduled hours.
Okay.
It is just purely during their scheduled hours, they will respond to calls, which then they may not have calls, and they're doing
Right.
fire inspections. So, they're doing public education type things. So, we knew that going into this, that
Yep.
we wouldn't be able to require a certain number of calls. They'll
Okay.
still have the same training requirements,
Yep.
but not call requirements.
Okay, that was my only question. Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah.
Member Yeager?
When the city had part-time police officers and a part-time crime analyst, were they included in the retirement plan?
The part-time analyst is a part of the coordinated fund. That is a different fund within the para retirement system. The part-time police, that would have had to have same resolution in place because they don't allow part-time employees. Or that may have changed since then. I'm not sure.
I think there's a statutory change since we had a part-time, which has been quite some time since we had a
Yeah.
part-time police officer. You're correct, Chief Bauer.
Okay. So this position isn't being treated differently than anything else, than any other position?
No, and the community service officer position is in the coordinated fund. So it's still a para contributing position. It just is that part-time CSO position is not part of, it doesn't meet the requirements for police and fire. So that would be like any other non-law enforcement city
You're gonna
employee.
take it out of a different fund for the CSO?
It contributes to a different fund, yes.
It contributes to a different
Correct.
fund, they'll get their pension from a different fund?
Yes, correct.
And so which would not require a resolution?
That's correct.
Okay. All right, with that, I mean, I did have a question about if this position is para-eligible, are all our part-time, like you said, the part-time CSO would be para-eligible, but would like our public works seasonal, or if we had another part-time?
No, it to be over 167 days in a year. So
Okay.
a part-time public works employee is not.
And if we ever went back to a part-time building inspector, that's a whole different story?
It could be, depending, it'd probably be more than that, so it probably would be a para-eligible position, yes. Seasonals are
But it
not
must be
para-eligible.
over 167 days?
Correct.
Okay. How does the para-retirement benefits compare to the Fire Relief Association's retirement benefits?
They're completely different systems. The para system is based on, they contribute a percentage of their salary, the city contributes a percent of their salary. They need to acquire a certain number of years of service and contribution amounts in order to take that pension. So it's a, you know,
The difference, but are they gonna come out with the same benefit?
no, it's a completely different system. They're
Oh,
not.
So when we give the Fire Relief Association 5,000 and some per year, that's, the gentleman or the lady on the para system won't be realizing
No,
that much.
it's completely different. It's based on the number of hours, it's based on the volume, they're completely different systems.
Yeah.
Okay.
In the fire relief, you have to be, it takes 10 years to be vested, even on the fire relief to be eligible. Para's 5 years, but like Ms. Chief Bauer said, it's completely different. One's through the state, one's a coordinated local, the city essentially just does the liability on it, but it's the fire relief's money in their fund that they run, other than us, the city providing essentially liability assurance if something were to happen to the fund and their people were getting paid out of it.
It was more, are they going to get the same kind of payout? Apparently not.
No, I would say it's hard to determine that, I think based on the individual, as far as, it's difficult to say if, like I said, if you started as a firefighter this year, you wouldn't be eligible for any kind of pension until 10 years in. So this individual, you have to be, for the para system, for that benefit for police and fire, it's 5 years. So whatever the contribution is through that, they could be eligible after that, but at a part-time position, it's gonna be, it's kind of what you put in and duration of time, so it's hard to say all the different variables, how they would shake out between them, but they're just different coordinated system. One's through the state, one's kind of in-house per se.
I mean, I don't know if there would be some questions about, for the individual hired, differences in monetary benefit of it. But also along the different systems, how does it compare to the city's contribution to the private system? We're doing 200 per firefighter. Are we contributing more or less for the part-time firefighter?
It's a percentage, just like it's the same fund that I'm in, or a police officer.
So, yeah,
We contribute a percentage of their pay to the fund, and the employee contributes a percentage of the
Right.
fund. It's based on their salary or their hourly rate.
And then their job function, the police and fire are in a different plan than everyone else. Like everyone else, as far as like our building inspectors, our admin people, our council, if they opt to take para, you're in a coordinated plan that is completely separate from police and fire. Police and fire have their own plan, but there's different percentages, and like Chief Bauer said, the city matches a portion, the state matches a portion, but it's all depending upon what you're, there's 2 buckets essentially.
Yeah, I know, it's 2 buckets, but I was more interested in, is the contribution that the city makes more or less than $200 per firefighter?
It depends how many hours they work.
Yeah, it depends on the hours. Based on the percentage, I don't know the math. It could be.
I mean, if they're working 12 to 16 hours a week, and I don't know that I can do the math off the top of my head, but
Yeah, I
their
don't even know
hourly
what the
rate,
percentages for the.
and then the
for
percentages.
For the fire system, I'm not sure what the.
Okay,
I don't know that I can answer those questions off the top of my head. So, do you have anything else?
no, that's it.
Okay, again, I'm sorry, again, it's not play gotcha. All right,
It's not a gotcha, it's a question.
Member Luker.
I have no questions.
Okay, Member Onstad.
No questions.
Okay, I'll make the motion to approve Resolution 260227, a resolution declaring coverage in the police and fire plan for the non-full-time firefighter. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Member Luker. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So approved. Council reports. Let's start with Member Schilling.
I actually have no report to anybody watching. Thank you and have a good night.
Okay. Member Yeager.
I attended the work session before this. Thank you all, thank you for coming, and then thank you all for watching.
Member Luker.
I also attended the work session earlier. Thank you for attending, and thanks for watching, and have a wonderful evening.
Member Onstad.
I attended the Park Advisory Commission meeting last week, and the work session just prior to this. Thank you for coming tonight.
Okay. I also attended that work session, and I'm happy to say that I did attend the League of Minnesota Cities yearly How to Be Better Elected Officials. It was always something fantastic to learn. So we should add that to the goals for this next year, that we get our whole council to attend. So it's just the learning is amazing and the connections are great. So, and did we talk about Coffee with the Cops? Was that 2 weeks ago? Chief Bauer, I'm
Oh my
like
goodness.
lost.
I
Plus
don't
the
know.
polar plunge, right?
The
You had
polar
the polar
plunge was wonderful. It was 50 degrees as opposed to negative 1,000 last year. We raised a good amount of money. We had a good team that jumped. I would do it again in a heartbeat rather than last year. So it was a great event.
Fabulous. All right. Do you guys have anything else coming up that we should know about? didn't see.
We don't. We're actually working on Night to Night. We're starting the planning for that,
Nice.
even though it's in August.
Yeah.
We are starting with our multicultural group to figure out how we're gonna do that again this year.
Love that.
So, yeah, it was great.
Perfect. Great. Thank you very much. So thanks everybody for watching tonight, being here tonight, and also for our staff. You all work really super hard and just really appreciate everything you do. With that, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Yep.
We have a
Second.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
We are